A mother's hope. The rain fell in gentle drops against the hospital window, creating small rivers that traced down the glass like tears. Sarah Martinez sat on the narrow bed, her newborn daughter Emma sleeping peacefully in her arms. The baby's tiny fingers were curled into perfect little fists, and her breathing was soft and steady. For a moment, everything felt right with the world. Sarah had been in the hospital for 3 days now. 3 days since Emma had come into the world with a cry that filled Sarah's heart with more love than she ever thought possible. The nurses had been kind, bringing her warm blankets and checking on Emma every few hours. But Sarah knew this peaceful bubble couldn't last forever. The door opened quietly, and Dr. Williams stepped inside. She was a gentle woman with graying hair and kind eyes. But today her face carried a weight that made Sarah's stomach tighten with worry. "Sarah," Dr. Williams said softly, pulling up a chair beside the bed, "we need to talk about your discharge. The social worker will be here soon, and there are some concerns about your living situation." Sarah's arms instinctively tightened around Emma. She had hoped this moment wouldn't come so quickly. The truth was, she had nowhere to go. Her ex-boyfriend, Marcus, had made sure of that. When she told him about the pregnancy 6 months ago, his reaction had been swift and cruel. The bruises on her ribs had faded, but the memory of his anger still made her flinch. "I understand you don't have family in the area," Dr. Williams continued, her voice gentle but direct. "The address you gave us. Marcus reported that you no longer live there." The words hit Sarah like cold water. She had known this day would come, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way that frightened her. She looked down at Emma, whose dark eyelashes rested against her cheeks like tiny crescents. "I'll figure something out," Sarah whispered, though she had no idea how. 2 hours later, Sarah found herself standing on the hospital steps, holding Emma close against her chest. The afternoon sun was warm, but a cool breeze carried the scent of autumn leaves. She had a small bag with a few baby supplies the nurses had given her, and exactly $47 in her wallet. The world seemed impossibly large and frightening as she walked slowly down the sidewalk. Other people passed by, going about their daily lives, unaware of the quiet desperation of the young mother carrying her sleeping baby. Sarah's legs felt weak. She realized she probably shouldn't be walking so much so soon after giving birth. But she had to find somewhere safe for Emma. She made her way to the small park across from the hospital. There was a bench under an old oak tree, and she sat down carefully, adjusting Emma's blanket. The baby stirred slightly, but didn't wake. Hush. Sarah closed her eyes and tried to think. She needed a plan, but exhaustion was making it hard to focus. "You look like you could use some help." The voice was gentle, and Sarah's eyes flew open. Standing nearby was a man in an expensive-looking gray suit. He appeared to be in his 50s, with silver hair and kind brown eyes. What struck her most was the genuine concern in his expression. "I'm sorry," Sarah said quickly, starting to stand. "I didn't mean to. We'll move along. Please don't go." The man held up his hand in a peaceful gesture. "I'm not asking you to leave. I just noticed you seemed troubled, and I wondered if there was anything I could do to help." Sarah hesitated. Every instinct told her to be careful, to protect Emma from strangers. But something about this man's demeanor put her at ease. He kept a respectful distance and spoke in the same gentle tone she'd heard from the kind nurses at the hospital. "I'm Robert," he said simply. "Robert Chen. I was just visiting a friend at the hospital when I saw you come out. You look like someone carrying the weight of the world." Sarah's eyes filled with tears she'd been holding back for hours. "I'm Sarah. This is Emma. She's only 3 days old and I don't have anywhere to take her." Robert's expression grew. Even more concerned, without hesitation, he shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it gently around Sarah's shoulders. The fabric was warm and smelled faintly of cedar and kindness. "Tell me what happened," he said, settling onto the other end of the bench, still maintaining a respectful distance, and slowly Sarah found herself telling this stranger her story. She told him about Marcus's violence, about being thrown out of the apartment, about having no family nearby to turn to. Robert listened without judgment, nodding occasionally and making small sounds of understanding. When she finished, Robert was quiet for a long moment. He watched Emma sleep, and Sarah saw something shift in his expression, a softness that spoke of deep understanding. "I lost my wife 2 years ago," he said quietly. "Cancer. We always wanted children, but it never happened for us." Margaret used to volunteer at shelters for women and families in situations like yours. She always said that sometimes the universe puts people in each other's paths for a reason. Sarah felt her heart flutter with something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. "I own several apartment buildings in the city," Robert continued. "Nothing fancy, but they're safe and clean. There's a unit that's been vacant for a month. It has 2 bedrooms, and it's in a good neighborhood with a community center nearby that offers childcare and job training programs." Sarah stared at him, hardly believing what she was hearing. "I can't pay rent," she whispered. "I don't have a job, and with the baby, ... "The first 6 months would be free," Robert said simply. "After that, we'll work out something manageable based on your situation." Margaret always said that sometimes people need a bridge, not a handout. Consider this your bridge. Emma chose that moment to wake up, her tiny eyes opening to look around at this new world. She made a small sound, not quite a cry, more like a question. Sarah looked down at her daughter, and then back at Robert. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this for strangers?" Robert smiled, and Sarah saw sadness there mixed with genuine warmth. "Because Margaret would have. And because every child deserves a safe place to grow up. Besides," he added with a gentle laugh, "something tells me you're going to be just fine. You just need a chance to prove it to yourself." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced in a very long time. She felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Emma gurgled softly in her arms, and Sarah could swear her daughter was smiling. The world suddenly seemed less frightening and much more full of possibility.